By alien decree, a human asserts his place as husband of the queen. The air shimmered with soft colors, and the sky was streaked with iridescent clouds that seemed alive, shifting slowly like a living painting. Towering structures of crystal rose from the ground, catching the sunlight and scattering it in every direction. Bioluminescent plants glowed along the pathways, pulsing gently as though breathing. Elias paused for a moment, his heart pounding in excitement and wonder. He had traveled across the stars to this planet, not as a conqueror, not as a soldier, but as a diplomat and explorer. Humanity had reached far into the galaxy, but Thalira was a jewel among worlds, home to an alien civilization both advanced and mysterious. Elias' mission was simple, at least on paper: negotiate a cultural and technological alliance with the Thalarans. Yet as he looked around at the alien city, he felt the weight of the unknown pressing in on him. "Welcome, Elias Mercer," said a calm, melodic voice. Elias turned to see a Thalaran guide, tall and elegant, their skin shimmering faintly in the light. "I am Kalen. I will escort you to the court of Queen Lysera." Elias nodded, trying to steady his nerves. The Thalarans moved with grace and precision, their gestures fluid, almost like a dance. Kalen led him through streets paved with crystalline stones, past gardens where flowers of impossible shapes glowed softly, and through arches carved from pure crystal that seemed to hum with energy. People paused to watch him, their eyes curious but not unkind. "They say humans are clever," Kalen said, reading Elias' expression. "Let us see if that is true." Elias smiled faintly. Clever, yes, but he hoped cleverness alone would be enough to navigate what lay ahead. Finally, they reached a massive palace at the heart of the city. It was a breathtaking structure, built from crystal and metal, with spires that reached toward the sky. Light bent through the towers, casting shimmering patterns across the courtyard. At its entrance, 2 Thalaran guards stood perfectly still. Inside, the palace was even more astonishing. The walls glowed softly, alive with shifting colors. A large hall stretched before him, filled with Thalarans seated in orderly rows, their eyes fixed on a raised platform at the far end. And there she was, Queen Lysera. She sat on a throne that seemed to float slightly above the ground, her posture regal, her presence commanding. Her skin had a soft iridescence, her hair flowed like liquid silver, and her eyes, oh, her eyes, were the color of deep amethyst, intelligent and piercing. Elias felt a shiver of awe run through him. He had met leaders before, humans and aliens alike, but none had radiated such a combination of wisdom, authority, and quiet power. "You are Elias Mercer," she said, her voice clear and musical. "I have been expecting you." Elias bowed as the Thalaran custom dictated. "Your Majesty, it is an honor to be here." Lysera studied him for a moment. "You are human," she said, "yet you walk among us without fear. That is unusual." "Perhaps curiosity is stronger than fear," Elias replied, finding courage in his own words. A murmur passed through the assembly. It was not disrespect, but surprise. Elias could feel it. Humans were rare here, and even among the Thalarans' many alien contacts, a human was something new, unpredictable, and the unpredictable often fascinated them. "Let the ceremony begin," Lysera said, and the Thalarans began to move in unison. They approached Elias and him alone. Elias tried to follow their ritual, bowing and stepping where they gestured. He was careful, precise, yet he could sense the eyes of the court upon him. He had studied Thalaran etiquette for months, but nothing could prepare him for the feeling of being watched by an entire world. Then came a moment that made his heart leap. A Thalaran official approached and placed a glowing crystal pendant in his hands. The assembly fell silent. "By ancient law," the official intoned, "the one who receives this crystal is declared the chosen bond of the queen." Elias froze, the words echoed in his mind. Chosen bond, him? Surely there was some mistake. He looked at Queen Lysera, expecting her to laugh or correct the official, but her expression was calm, unreadable. "You have been selected," she said softly, almost as if explaining something obvious. "By our law, your presence here, your courage, and your willingness to enter our world have created a bond. It is our way, and it cannot be ignored." Elias' mind raced. A bond with the queen. He had never expected this, not in 1,000 years of imagining first contact scenarios. Yet the Thalarans were serious. Their law was absolute, and the pendant in his hands glowed warmly, almost as if it were alive, recognizing his touch. I do not understand," Elias stammered. "I came as a diplomat, not for this." Lysera's gaze softened slightly. Understanding will come, human, for now accept that this is our way. Elias nodded, though his mind spun with questions. How could he fulfill a role he did not choose? What did it even mean to be a bond of the Queen in a civilization so different from his own? And yet, there was something exhilarating in the unknown. In that moment, Elias felt the first stirrings of something he had never felt before. Not fear, but purpose. The ceremony continued, with Thalorans performing a dance of lights and energy around him. The glow of the crystal pendant resonated with his own heartbeat, or so it seemed. He had always thought of humans as fragile, limited, but standing here, he felt the power of his own presence, the strength of human curiosity and courage. After the ceremony, Kalen guided him to a private chamber. The court will observe your actions closely, Kalen explained. This bond is not just symbolic. You will be tested in ways humans have never faced. Elias looked out of the window at the city below. Crystals reflected the colors of the setting sun, and he realized that Thalira was alive in a way that Earth never had been. Everything here was precise, beautiful, and utterly alien. And yet, he was part of it now, not by conquest, not by force, but by presence and choice. That night, as he lay on a bed that floated above the floor, Elias thought of the pendant on his chest. It pulsed softly, a quiet reminder of the responsibility he had never sought but could not refuse. He had arrived as a human visitor, a diplomat, but the Thalorans had seen something else in him, something that could matter. And for the first time in his life, Elias felt the full weight of possibility. He was a human among aliens, small and fragile, yet recognized in a way that no human had ever been. The future was uncertain, and danger surely awaited, but he was ready to step forward. As the bioluminescent lights of Thalira's forest outside shimmered like distant stars, Elias whispered to himself, "I will not fail, not here, not now." Outside his chamber, the city continued its quiet hum, unaware of the small human who had entered their world and by an alien decree had begun a bond that would change everything. The first step of an extraordinary journey had begun. The morning light of Thalira spilled softly into Elias Mercer's chamber. The crystalline walls reflected gentle waves of color, casting patterns that danced across the floor. He rose slowly, his thoughts still lingering on the ceremony of the previous night. The pendant around his neck pulsed faintly, as if aware of his every heartbeat. Kalen appeared at the doorway, their face calm but serious. "The council awaits you," they said. "Your bond with Queen Lysera is recognized, but it is not complete. You must prove your worth." Elias swallowed. "Prove my worth?" he asked. "I thought the decree made it official." Kalen shook their head. "A decree begins the bond, but it does not define it. Our law requires action, not words. You will face trials designed to test courage, intelligence, and empathy. Only then will your place beside the Queen be certain." Elias nodded. He had traveled across the stars, survived the rigors of space travel, and faced unknown dangers on distant worlds, yet nothing had prepared him for this. These trials would not just test his skills, they would test the very essence of what it meant to be human in an alien world. The first trial began in a massive chamber deep within the palace. Its walls were clear crystal, and through them, Elias could see the glowing forests outside. At the center of the room was a platform with a series of moving shapes, shimmering, shifting, and changing faster than the human eye could follow. "This is the trial of perception," Kalen explained. "You must identify patterns and sequences. The mind alone will guide you." Elias stepped onto the platform. The shapes moved in complex rhythms, and at first he felt dizzy trying to track them. But then he remembered a lesson from Earth. Humans were good at recognizing patterns when logic failed, when instinct guided the hand. He focused, letting his eyes follow the subtle changes. Slowly, methodically, he began to anticipate the sequences. The shapes slowed as he succeeded, forming a perfect spiral before fading. The chamber's walls shimmered with approval. Kalen inclined their head. "You have passed the first test." Elias exhaled, relieved, but he knew it was only the beginning. The second trial was more physical, though not in the sense humans might expect. It was called the trial of agility and adaptation. The room transformed into a shifting maze of light and crystal walls. Paths appeared and disappeared, and Elias had to navigate quickly, avoiding traps that moved with an almost playful intelligence. At first, he stumbled, hitting walls that weren't really there, or stepping where the floor seemed solid but vanished. Frustration rose in his chest, but he remembered another human trait: persistence. Humans were resourceful, learning from failure and adjusting immediately. He slowed his breathing, observing the patterns of the shifting walls. He noticed small differences in the color and glow of the crystals, subtle clues the Thalorans would expect him to miss. Following those cues, he moved with careful precision, adjusting at each turn. One by one, the walls rearranged themselves around him, and he reached the exit. Kalen awaited him there. "Few humans could succeed here," they said. "You are stronger than you appear, not in muscle, but in mind and spirit." Elias felt a surge of pride, tempered by exhaustion. "I'm only human," he said, smiling. "But humans survive." The third trial, however, was the most unexpected, the trial of empathy. A Thaloran child appeared in the chamber, a small being with iridescent skin and curious eyes. The child's gestures were not threatening, but Elias sensed a silent urgency. Through a series of shifting holographic images and gestures, he understood that the child was lost in a simulated environment and could not find their way back to safety. Humans had a long history of empathy, the ability to connect with others even across differences. Elias knelt, speaking softly, and carefully mirrored the child's gestures. He guided them through the simulation, reassuring with gentle tones and patient actions. Slowly, the holographic environment changed, guiding the child back to safety. The chamber brightened, a wave of approval washing over Elias. "You see through more than eyes," Kalen said. "You see through understanding. That is rare." As the trials ended, Elias had a moment to breathe. He had passed tests designed to challenge body, mind, and heart. Yet, even as he basked in a small sense of accomplishment, he knew this was only the beginning. The Thalorans valued strength and intelligence, but more than anything, they valued adaptability, the ability to face the unknown with courage. Later, in a quiet garden of glowing flora, Queen Lysera appeared beside him. "You have done well," she said. Her voice was soft, almost like a song, yet carried an unmistakable authority. "Many would have failed where you succeeded." Elias bowed respectfully. "Thank you, Your Majesty. The trials, they were unlike anything I expected." Lysera's eyes sparkled with a mixture of amusement and approval. "Expectations are the cage of the mind. You have freed yourself. That is why you succeed. Humans think differently. You do not rely on what has come before, but what is possible. That quality is rare and valuable." Elias felt a warmth in his chest. He had always thought of humans as limited, fragile, bound by instinct and error. But here, in an alien world, he saw the opposite. Curiosity, adaptability, creativity, these were his greatest strengths, and the Thalorans recognized them. "Your bond with me is still new," Lysera continued. "But it grows not from law alone, but from action. You have proven your first worth. There are more challenges ahead, but I will guide you as you guide yourself." Elias nodded, feeling a sense of partnership forming. Not just between human and alien, but between individuals who saw the value in each other. As days passed, Elias continued to learn. He studied the Thaloran language in depth, practiced their customs, and explored the city's wonders. He discovered floating gardens, rivers of glowing liquid, and libraries that held knowledge in crystalline forms, readable only through touch and thought. The Thalorans had lived for millennia, and their wisdom was vast. But Elias realized that humans, too, brought something unique. Imagination, the ability to connect disparate ideas, and an unyielding drive to overcome the impossible. One afternoon, Kalen brought him to a council chamber. "You will meet the elders," Kalen said. "They watch closely. They will test your ideas, your judgment, even your sense of justice." Elias entered the chamber. Around a circular table sat figures taller and more radiant than anyone he had seen. Their eyes glimmered with intelligence and experience. Each looked at him carefully, assessing, evaluating. "You are the human bond of our queen," one elder said, voice like the wind over crystal. "You have completed the initial trials, but tell us, why should a human, fragile and short-lived, hold a place beside the ruler of Thalira?" Elias straightened. "Because humans are more than fragile. We adapt, we learn, we grow. We see possibilities where others see obstacles. I may be small and new to your world, but I bring a perspective no Thaloran has. A perspective that can complement your wisdom, not compete with it. And I will act with honor, courage, and respect for your people." There was a long silence. Then one by one the elders nodded. "We will observe your actions further," another said. "But already we see promise." That night Elias walked through the gardens alone. The glowing flora lit his path, and the soft hum of Thalira filled the air. He thought of Earth, of humanity's small place in the universe, and yet here he was recognized not by strength of arms, but by the qualities that made humans human. He touched the pendant around his neck. It pulsed warmly, a reminder that he was part of something larger, something extraordinary. The bond was no longer just a decree. It was a challenge, a responsibility, and a possibility. Elias smiled. The trials had tested him, pushed him to his limits, and revealed the depth of his own humanity. And yet the greatest challenges were still ahead. Beyond the palace walls, the city of Thalira continued its quiet, vibrant life. But in the heart of its crystal towers, a human had begun to carve his place. Not as a visitor, but as a bond of the queen, a bridge between two worlds, and a living example of humanity's potential among the stars. The journey had only just begun. The crystalline city of Thalira shone under twin suns, each ray scattering into countless colors as it passed through the towers. Elias Mercer walked through the palace halls, his mind occupied not with wonder this time, but with caution. Though he had passed the initial trials, he now sensed that his presence stirred unease among some of the Thalarans. The palace, which had once felt like a place of marvel, now felt like a chessboard, each figure moving with hidden purpose. Kalen, ever watchful, guided him to a quiet chamber. "You must understand," Kalen said softly, "not all welcome a human so close to the queen. Some see you as a threat to their authority." Elias nodded. He had known this would not be simple. Humans had faced opposition throughout history, and he was not naive. Yet he had never encountered an enemy as subtle as this. These were not warriors who struck with swords. They were masters of influence, persuasion, and careful observation. To succeed, Elias would need patience and intelligence beyond raw strength. The first sign of opposition came during a council meeting. The elders had gathered, their forms radiant and intimidating. Each one's gaze carried centuries of experience, and a few held a glimmer of suspicion toward the human at the table. "You have completed the trials," one elder began, voice calm but firm. "But our people have questions. Can a human truly understand Thalaran law and custom? Can he act in our best interest without error?" Elias took a breath. He knew that words alone would not win their trust. He had to demonstrate understanding. "I do not presume to know everything," he said, "but I can learn. I can observe, adapt, and consider each decision carefully. My presence does not replace your wisdom, it complements it. Together we can achieve more than either species alone." A murmur rippled through the chamber. Some elders nodded, but others remained unconvinced. Elias sensed the subtle tension, the undercurrent of challenge. He realized that earning trust would not come from trial results alone, it would come from action and insight. That afternoon, he was summoned to the Queen's private study. Queen Lysera stood beside a holographic map, showing points of trade and communication across Thalira's territories. "There are those who watch you closely," she said, her eyes steady. "Not all oppose you openly. Some will try to undermine you through ideas, through influence, through subtle manipulation. You must learn their ways, human." Elias studied the map. "I will," he said. "I've faced challenges before, though none like this. But I think humans and Thalarans can work together if we respect each other and act wisely." Lysera smiled faintly. "That is why the bond exists. You do not fight with swords, but with thought, empathy, and courage. Observe carefully, act wisely, and do not let doubt cloud your judgment." Over the next few days, Elias experienced the subtle intrigues firsthand. During meetings, some elders questioned his ideas, framing their words as polite advice while embedding doubt. At times, allies of the Queen would offer contradictory guidance, testing his judgment. In one instance, a council member suggested rerouting resources to a distant city for efficiency, a plan that would have endangered a nearby settlement. Elias, relying on both human intuition and Thalaran reasoning, proposed a compromise that saved lives while improving efficiency. It was the first time some Thalarans had seen a human outmaneuver the intricate logic they prized above all. Whispers of surprise traveled through the council chambers. Some could not deny his skill. Others grew wary, their suspicion deepening. Elias also learned that opposition took subtler forms outside the council. Palace servants, while polite, sometimes withheld information. Advisors would offer guidance that subtly contradicted one another. He had to pay attention to every detail, the tone of a word, the flicker of an eye, the pause before a reply. Humanity's attention to nuance and reading intention became his greatest weapon. One evening, while walking through the palace gardens, Elias overheard a conversation between two nobles. "The human believes he can influence the queen," one said, voice low. "If he rises, our traditions are at risk. We must watch him closely." Elias stepped back, heart racing. He knew now that his every move was observed and judged. But instead of fear, he felt determination. Humans had survived against impossible odds for millennia, not by brute force, but by intelligence, adaptability, and understanding. He would use the same qualities here, among aliens whose society was ancient and structured. In the days that followed, Elias began small experiments. He offered solutions to logistical problems, improved communication between city sectors, and subtly bridged misunderstandings between Thalaran officials. Each success was quietly noted. The opposition could argue and plot, but actions spoke louder than suspicion. Queen Lysera noticed his efforts. "You are learning quickly," she said during a quiet moment in the floating gardens. "You see what others overlook and act with balance. That is why humans are valuable. You do not rely solely on what has always been done." "You see what could be done," Elias smiled. "I never thought I would find myself in this position, but I see now that humans are capable of more than we sometimes believe. Perhaps we are stronger when we learn from others rather than imposing our ways." Lysera regarded him with approval. "You are correct. Strength comes in many forms. Wisdom, courage, empathy, these are powerful. You bring them in ways few expect." Not all opposition remained silent. One elder known for his cunning directly challenged Elias during a council session. "Human, you speak of solutions, yet you do not know the history, the traditions, the subtleties that govern our people. How can you presume to advise?" Elias took a deep breath. He could feel the eyes of the queen upon him, patient but attentive. "I may not know every tradition," he said calmly, "but I listen, I observe, I learn. I do not presume to replace your wisdom, but I offer perspective. Together we can achieve solutions neither of us could alone." The elder's eyes narrowed, but he said nothing further. Elias realized that words mattered, but deeds mattered more. Each time he acted with thought, insight, and respect, the opposition's power lessened. One night, Elias walked the palace corridors alone, thinking of the challenges he had faced. Humans had survived countless trials on Earth and in space. They had adapted to extremes, solved impossible problems, and built communities from nothing. Here, among Thalarans, he realized those same qualities, adaptability, intelligence, courage, empathy, were being tested in a new way. Not against physical danger, but against subtle opposition and political maneuvering. In the quiet of the crystal halls, he whispered to himself, "If humans can survive Earth, they can survive here. If we can overcome each other's differences, we can create something extraordinary." Over the next week, Elias' successes began to change perceptions. Some nobles who had opposed him outright began to offer tentative advice, testing whether he could integrate their guidance. Others observed silently, noting his judgment and patience. The queen watched with a steady smile, recognizing the human qualities that were proving invaluable. Then came a moment of crisis, not of battle, but of trust. A disagreement arose between two council members regarding resource allocation for the city's energy networks. The argument escalated, and tension filled the chamber. Elias stepped forward, using a combination of logic, empathy, and compromise. He proposed a plan that honored both perspectives while ensuring the city's safety. The chamber fell silent. Slowly, heads turned toward him, some in surprise, some in acknowledgement. Queen Lysera inclined her head slightly. "You see what others miss, human. You act with thought and care. That is why the bond endures." Elias felt a quiet satisfaction. Opposition would always exist, but he had learned a vital lesson. Humans could navigate not just the physical or mental challenges of an alien world, but the social and political complexities as well. By observing, learning, and acting with integrity, he could earn respect even in a society that seemed alien in every way. That night, as he walked through the glowing gardens, Elias touched the pendant on his chest. Its warmth pulsed in rhythm with his heartbeat, a reminder that the bond with the queen was no longer just ceremonial. It was active, growing stronger with each trial, each challenge overcome, each subtle victory. He looked up at the twin suns setting over the city. Thalira was magnificent, strange, and challenging, but it was also a place where humans could thrive. Not by conquering, not by forcing change, but by being human in a way that the aliens had never fully seen. Elias smiled. Opposition existed, as it always would. But with courage, insight, and patience, he could meet it, and in doing so, show that humanity was not just capable, but remarkable even among the stars. The city continued its hum of light and life around him, unaware of the small human who walked among its ancient towers and subtle politics, proving that sometimes intelligence, empathy, and courage were the greatest strengths of all. The journey was far from over. Challenges would come, greater and more intricate than any trials before. But Elias had learned a powerful truth. Humans could not only survive in alien worlds, they could influence them, inspire them, and earn their place among the stars. And so, as the night deepened, Elias Mercer prepared for the next stage of his journey, knowing that the bond with the Queen was now more than a decree. It was a partnership, tested and strengthened by both opposition and understanding. The twin suns of Thalira rose slowly over the crystalline city, casting long, glittering shadows across the towers. Elias Mercer stood at the edge of the floating gardens, watching the light scatter in every direction. It had been weeks since he had first arrived, and in that time he had learned much about Thalaran culture, politics, and technology. But nothing could have prepared him for the crisis that was about to unfold. A sudden alarm echoed through the palace, a sound unlike anything Elias had heard before. It was not loud or violent, but urgent, resonating through the crystal walls. Kalen appeared almost instantly. "Elias, you must come quickly. The outer sectors are under threat." "What kind of threat?" Elias asked, his mind racing. Kalen's expression was grave. "An interstellar faction has approached Thalaran space. Their vessels are unlike anything we have encountered. They are fast, unpredictable, and they do not follow known protocols. Our defenses may not withstand them." Elias' heart quickened. He had trained for emergencies, faced unexpected dangers on alien worlds, but this was different. This was a threat to the people he had begun to care for, to the Queen whose trust he had earned. Yet fear was not his companion, curiosity and resolve were. He followed Kalen to the War Council chamber. Queen Lysera was already there, her presence steady and commanding, as if the rising danger did not shake her at all. Around the table, Thalaran generals and advisors displayed their data streams, star maps, energy grids, fleet positions. "This faction is unpredictable," one general said. "Our weapons are optimized for conventional threats. These ships, they act too quickly, too erratically." Lysera's gaze turned to Elias. "We need insight beyond our own methods, human. You see possibilities differently. Your perspective may help us save our people." Elias stepped forward. "I have an idea," he said. "We can combine your technology with unconventional strategies. On Earth, humans have often faced stronger, faster opponents and survived by adapting quickly, using misdirection and creative solutions rather than raw power alone." The generals exchanged skeptical glances. "Misdirection?" one asked. Elias nodded. "Yes. We can use their predictability against them while appearing unpredictable ourselves. If we synchronize your energy grids with smaller, mobile units, we can create illusions of fleet positions, confuse their targeting, and strike where they least expect it." Lysera studied him intently. "Proceed," she said. "We will trust your judgment, Elias, but success is essential. Failure is not an option." Over the next several hours, Elias worked with Thalaran engineers and tacticians. He learned their systems quickly, understanding energy flows, shield matrices, and communication networks. Then he proposed modifications. Deploy small, fast-moving drones that mimicked larger ships, redirect energy pulses to create false signals, and position the main fleet where the enemy least expected. The plan was risky, and many Thalarans doubted it. But Elias' confidence was quiet, firm, and persuasive. He reminded them that humans had survived impossible odds for generations, not through brute force, but through ingenuity and adaptability. Slowly, the generals agreed to implement his strategy. As the enemy fleet approached, the crystalline sky lit with streaks of movement. The ships were indeed fast, erratic, and difficult to predict. The Thalaran main fleet moved according to Elias' plan, while small drones darted in all directions, creating illusions of numbers far greater than reality. Elias monitored the energy grids, making adjustments in real time. When the enemy attempted to strike a sector that appeared lightly defended, the illusion pulled them into a trap. Concentrated energy pulses from hidden batteries disabled several ships simultaneously. The Thalorans watched in awe. Humans might be fragile in body, but Elias' mind had turned the tide of battle. Queen Lysera observed quietly, her expression calm. "You see beyond what is visible, human," she said. "That is your strength." Hours passed in a tense dance of strategy and counter-strategy. Elias coordinated movements, predicted enemy actions, and adapted quickly to unexpected maneuvers. Slowly, the alien fleet began to falter, its speed and erratic patterns now working against it. Ships collided, energy systems overloaded, and one by one, they were forced to retreat. When the final enemy vessel disengaged and fled toward open space, the Thalorans erupted in cheers, a sound that Elias had never thought he would hear in such a controlled, quiet society. The crisis was over, but the lesson was clear. Humans could make a difference in ways no alien had anticipated. In the aftermath, Elias walked through the palace corridors with Kalen. "You were remarkable," Kalen said. "Even our oldest generals admit they would not have conceived of such a strategy." Elias shook his head. "It's not just me. It's observation, adaptation, and using what you already have in a new way. Humans have done it for centuries on Earth. I just applied it here." Kalen smiled. "And the Queen recognizes it, as do the people who saw your plan in action. Your bond is more than ceremonial. It is practical, vital, and respected." Queen Lysera herself greeted Elias later that evening in the floating gardens. "You saved our people today," she said, her voice carrying the weight of genuine admiration. "Not with raw power, but with intelligence and courage. That is why the bond is more than law, it is real." Elias bowed. "I only did what humans have always done, face a challenge and find a way through it. But I could not have done it without your trust and the willingness of your people to try something new." Lysera smiled faintly. "Trust is earned through action, and today you earned it. More than that, you showed our people that humans are capable of understanding and protecting what we hold dear. That is invaluable." The palace buzzed with energy in the days that followed. Thalorans who had doubted Elias now approached him for advice, eager to learn how humans could think differently, solve problems creatively, and adapt rapidly. Some even joked among themselves that the human sees what even centuries of experience cannot. Elias used the opportunity to continue building understanding. He taught the Thalorans about human logic, improvisation, and creative problem-solving. In turn, he learned more about Thaloran technology, history, and philosophy. Together, they explored ways to combine human ingenuity with Thaloran precision, opening possibilities for trade, defense, and culture. Yet even as they celebrated, Elias remained aware of the fragility of peace. The enemy fleet had retreated, but not vanished. Thalira's neighbors were aware of its defenses, and other factions might see the humans' strategies as a new threat. The galaxy was vast, and danger could return at any moment. One night, Elias stood alone on the palace terrace, looking out at the horizon where the twin suns dipped toward the glowing forests. He touched the pendant at his chest, feeling its gentle pulse. It was more than a symbol now. It was a reminder of his role, his responsibility, and the potential of humanity itself. Humans were small in the galaxy, often underestimated, yet here he stood, having turned the tide of an interstellar threat without weapons or brute force. Intelligence, creativity, and courage had made the difference. Humans had always survived by finding paths where others saw walls, and today they had thrived in an alien world by doing the same. Kalen appeared silently beside him. "The Queen will meet you in the council chamber tomorrow. She wishes to discuss the future, how humans and Thalorans can work together beyond crisis." Elias nodded. "It seems the journey continues and the stakes grow higher." Kalen inclined their head. "Yes. But now you know the value of your presence here. You are not just a visitor, Elias. You are a partner, a strategist, and a symbol of what humans can bring to Thalira." Elias smiled, looking up at the rising stars. "Then I will continue to learn, adapt, and act. Not just for the Queen, not just for Thalira, but for humanity's place among the stars." As the night deepened, the city of Thalira shimmered quietly below him. The battle had been won, the crisis averted, but Elias knew that new challenges awaited. The galaxy was full of unpredictable dangers, but he also knew that humans had strengths that no alien technology could replace: resilience, creativity, and the courage to act when it mattered most. And so, Elias Mercer prepared for what was next. The bond with Queen Lysera was no longer a decree or a ceremony. It was a living partnership, tested by danger and strengthened by action. Together, human and Thalaran could face the unknown, proving that intelligence, courage, and heart were as powerful as any weapon in the galaxy. For the first time, Elias truly felt the weight and potential of being human in a universe that had never fully expected him to survive. The journey was far from over. The galaxy waited, full of challenges and wonders, and Elias was ready to meet them, one clever, courageous step at a time. The city of Thalira glowed under the light of its twin suns, but the palace hummed with a quiet, tense energy. Elias Mercer walked through the corridors, aware that today would be different. The council meeting that awaited him was not about crises or trials. It was about recognition, about placing humans among the stars not as visitors, but as partners. Kalen met him in the hall. "The elders are ready," they said. "Queen Lysera will speak after your presentation. Your actions during the recent crisis have earned attention, but today is the final test of trust." Elias nodded. He had learned much since arriving on Thalira, the alien customs, the subtle politics, and the ways of thinking that were not natural to humans. But he also knew that humans had strengths the Thalarans had never fully seen: adaptability, creativity, and the courage to act when all else seemed uncertain. He entered the council chamber, where the elders sat in their usual circle. Their expressions were neutral, but Elias sensed curiosity and a measure of expectation. The queen was already present, her radiant eyes watching him with calm authority. "Human," one elder began, voice steady and formal, "you have acted with skill and courage. You have aided our people in ways we did not foresee. Yet the question remains, can a human truly hold a place alongside the queen as a partner in guiding our civilization?" Elias took a deep breath. "I do not seek to replace Thalaran wisdom," he said, his voice clear. "I seek to complement it. Humans have survived through understanding, adaptation, and creativity. I offer that perspective. I have learned your ways, respected your laws, and acted in service to your people. Today, I ask for the chance to continue doing so, not as a guest, but as a true partner." The chamber was silent. The elders exchanged glances, subtle signals of thought and judgment. Finally, one spoke, a senior elder with eyes like molten crystal. "Your actions during the crisis demonstrated something rare, not just intelligence or courage, but foresight, empathy, and adaptability. These qualities have saved lives and strengthened our people. Perhaps a human can hold such a place." Another elder nodded. "We have watched and we have learned. Humans are not what we imagined. They are not weak or simple. They are capable of growth, of insight, and of partnership. This is undeniable." A soft hum filled the chamber as Queen Lysera rose. "It is true," she said, her voice calm but carrying weight. "Elias Mercer has proven himself not by law alone, not by ceremony, but through action. He has faced challenges, earned trust, and contributed to the safety and prosperity of Thalira. By all measures that matter, he is worthy of the bond." Elias felt a warmth in his chest. The recognition was not just ceremonial, it was genuine. The bond with Queen Lysera, once a strange decree, had become real, validated by deeds and understanding. Lysera continued, turning toward him. "Elias, the bond is now complete. You are not merely the chosen bond by law. You are a partner, a guide, and a symbol of what humans can bring to our people." Elias bowed deeply. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I will serve with honor, respect, and diligence. I will continue to learn and to act in ways that benefit Thalira and our bond." The council erupted in quiet applause, a ripple of acknowledgement that reached every corner of the chamber. Some elders still bore expressions of caution, but even they could not deny the human who had proven himself. After the meeting, Elias walked with Queen Lysera through the palace gardens, the bioluminescent flora glowing softly in the twilight. "It feels strange," he admitted, "to be recognized in a society so different from my own, to be accepted fully not just as a visitor but as a partner." Lysera smiled faintly. "Acceptance is earned, not given. You have shown that humans are more than fragile, more than short-lived. You bring insight, courage, and a willingness to act when needed. That is rare, even among my people. You have earned your place." Elias looked out over the city, glowing like a web of crystal light. "I always thought humans were small in the universe," he said. "But maybe our value lies not in size or strength, but in our ability to think, to adapt, to care." Lysera inclined her head. Precisely, and today your people and ours can see that clearly. This bond is not just between you and me. It is a bridge between species, a symbol of partnership and potential. Over the following weeks, Elias worked closely with the Council and the Queen, helping to integrate human perspectives into Thalaran planning, culture, and technology. He suggested ways to optimize energy use, improve communication networks, and create adaptive systems for disaster prevention. Each proposal was met with curiosity, discussion, and often admiration. The city itself began to change subtly. Humans' ways of thinking, quick adaptation, creative problem-solving, and combining ideas in unexpected ways were slowly being incorporated into Thalaran society, not as a replacement for their traditions, but as a complement. The citizens began to recognize that humans could bring value without challenging their culture. One afternoon, Elias was called to the palace observatory. Kalen and several council members waited. A holographic map showed new trade routes, previously unseen opportunities for collaboration between Thalira and nearby civilizations. Elias studied the projections carefully. "Your ideas have changed the way we approach trade," Kalen said. "You see opportunities where we saw only obstacles. Humans think differently, and that perspective is now shaping the future of our people." Elias smiled. "Humans have always had to adapt to find solutions where none seemed possible. I suppose this is just another way to do the same, on a bigger stage." Later, Queen Lysera joined him in the observatory. "You have done more than I expected," she said. "You have not only earned the bond, but you have helped redefine what partnership means for our people. Your presence here is already a legacy." Elias looked out at the stars. "Legacy, that feels like a lot of responsibility, but if I can help Thalira and show the value of humanity, then it is worth it." Lysera placed a hand on his shoulder. "Responsibility is heavy, yes, but so is opportunity, and you have shown that humans can rise to both." The following months saw further integration of human ingenuity into Thalaran systems. Elias' suggestions improved resource management, environmental sustainability, and even social programs, emphasizing fairness, cooperation, and empathy. Slowly, the council began to rely on him not as an outsider, but as a trusted partner, blending human and Thalaran wisdom. Then came a celebration unlike any Thalira had seen in centuries. Queen Lysera addressed the citizens from the central plaza, the crystal towers reflecting the sunlight in dazzling patterns. "Today," she began, "we recognize not only the strength of Thalira but the value of partnership. Elias Mercer, a human from a distant world, has shown courage, intelligence, and compassion. His actions have strengthened our society, saved our people, and demonstrated that cooperation between species can bring great prosperity." The crowd erupted in applause, the sound resonating across the city. Elias stood beside Lysera, his heart swelling with pride and humility. Acceptance, he realized, was not just a personal achievement, it was a bridge between worlds. After the ceremony, as twilight bathed the city in golden and violet hues, Elias walked through the floating gardens with Kalen. "Do you think humans will be remembered here?" he asked softly. Kalen smiled. "Already they are remembered. Your deeds have proven that humanity is capable, courageous, and wise. You are not just a visitor, you are a symbol, a legacy of what humans can bring to the galaxy." Elias touched the pendant at his chest, feeling its gentle pulse. It had been a simple symbol at first, a decree from an alien culture. Now it was something more, a reminder of responsibility, partnership, and the potential of humanity. As night fell over the crystalline city, the twin suns dipped below the horizon, leaving a sky full of stars. Elias looked up, imagining the countless worlds yet to explore, the challenges yet to face, and the opportunities to show humanity's value. Queen Lysera stood beside him. "The future is vast," she said, "and together, human and Thalaran, we can shape it, not by force, not by law alone, but by intelligence, courage, and respect." Elias nodded, feeling the truth of her words. Humans had always survived, adapted, and thrived, not by dominating, but by learning, observing, and acting with heart. Here on Thalira, that same spirit had earned him a place among the stars, recognized not by power, but by virtue. He took a deep breath, letting the cool night air fill his lungs. The city shimmered around him, alive with energy, hope, and possibility. Elias Mercer, a human from a small world, had proven that humanity could rise to any challenge. not through strength alone, but through mind, heart, and courage. And as he stood there beside Queen Lysera, he realized that this was only the beginning. The galaxy awaited, vast and mysterious, and humanity's potential had never been greater. The bond was complete, the acceptance real, and the legacy had begun. Elias Mercer smiled, ready to step forward into a future that was as infinite as the stars themselves.